Welcome to the Quigley Dreamcast, the podcast where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs, artists, and everyone in between about chasing big dreams and surviving the mess along the way. I'm your host, Sean Quigley. My whole life, I've been passionate about art and business. I spent my early years as a drummer and a music producer, and today I run the Quigley Dream Company with my wife, Carly. Digital media and storytelling has taken us around the world, collaborating with incredible artists and businesses. Throughout our adventures, I've had conversations that have changed my perspective on life, creativity, and chasing your dreams. This podcast is my way of bringing you into those moments, giving you a front row seat to inspiring stories, honest struggles, and the lessons learned along the way. Welcome to the Quigley Dreamcast. On today's episode, we sit down with Ben Gilbert, the founder of SketchLab Designs in California. Ben has crafted some of the most striking and memorable visual productions in live music. As the visionary behind SketchLab, he's worked with artists all over the world, including his work designing LANY's A Beautiful Blur World Tour. I saw that show in Vancouver, and it blew my mind. There's still tons of moments that stick with me to this day. Ben, he turns an artist's vision into an immersive and unforgettable experience. When I was in California earlier this year, we caught up just as he was moving into his new place, so we just sat down in his garage and we got to talking about his journey, his process, and the stories behind some of the shows that he helps bring to life. Ben brings a deep understanding of creativity, collaboration, and how to craft moments in the show that stay with you long after the show's over. So without further ado, here's my chat with Ben Gilbert. Ben, thank you for doing this.
It's all good. How's it going?
I'm excited to be here.
Me too. It's something I've never done before.
Really?
Yeah, it's yeah, you know, you gotta try things as a spice of life, that's what they say.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
So I showed up here today, and I just think this is the coolest environment, like SketchLab Designs. So You're the owner of SketchLab Designs.
Indeed.
And you guys are posted up in this house in California, right outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And judging by the pelicans behind us,
It's unorganized chaos in here at the moment.
but there is just shows going out the door.
We are, at the moment, non-stop. So we have kind of a collaboration with a Twin Torco, who are just down the road. They are a tour direction company as well. So we kind of do a lot of stuff with them. So we partner with them when we push shows out the door. We do all the design stuff for that, and then they do all the tour direction and stuff as well. We also help them out on the technical aspect of all the shows that they're putting out, like the recent stuff that we did for Ian Dior with his show control system triggering Ableton via MIDI notes and stuff, which is really cool.
The deep nerd stuff.
Yeah, we are a nerdy bunch, that's for sure.
I love it. Let's paint the picture for the audience. So I first interacted with you on the Beautiful Blur World Tour with LANY in Vancouver.
24, yeah.
So you came up to Canada in 2024 in Vancouver with LANY, and you were the creative director on that show.
I ended up being the creative director on that show, as well as the touring line designer.
So ended up. Tell me that story.
So, a little bit of chaos here. The initial design was first talked about mid-23. It was done by a TV designer based out of New York. Like we were all thinking it was going to be great, but then the process between the artist and the designer took a little bit longer than we thought it was going to. We initially got the designs beginning of December. So we got delivered a rendering of something that we then had to produce in real life in the span of a month and a half.
Wow.
Which is kind of unheard of in this industry, especially when we're talking about an arena tour.
Yeah.
It was, you know, it was something that was going to be a challenge, but we thought we were going to do it. We engaged the services of of a content company and then creative director that kind of came together. And they came in, looked at the design, and we were going to turn it into a full-blown show with them. Do all the content, lighting design, all of those bits. So we did all of that in December. Then second week of January, we were kind of going through the motions with them, and for certain reasons, they all pulled out. So we were kind of left. There was the three of us. It was Alex, production manager, me, who was just going to do lighting programming, and there's a operation, and then Matt, who was doing video. We ended up being like, well, what are we going to do now?
Right.
So we kind of just, show has to go on, you know? So we just took it upon ourselves to kind of do it. I then was working with Paul a lot, very closely. I became the kind of creative director, almost creative producer, working with Paul. And then we engaged the services of a content company, See You Later, who did a fantastic job on the content.
Wow.
I did the lighting design. Matt ended up doing all the server programming. And then we brought in another lighting programmer, a good friend of mine called Fuji, or David Contaniero is his actual name, who's based out in Nashville, but he's done The Who. I'm gonna have to go back and see what.
But like A-list,
yeah, he's an A-list programmer. Yeah. Does a bunch of stuff. He did stuff with Dolly Parton, The Who. He does a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah,
he does all the Jingle Ball stuff that happens. Huge. Everyone knows all about that.
Yeah,
but he's the in-house programmer for that. So fantastic guy, very good friend of mine. He's a fantastic bloke. Who came in and did the programming for us, and then I ended up being the creative director, which was a kind of wild ride, and we ended up pulling a show out within like 3 weeks, which is unprecedented, really.
Wow.
Especially a show of that scale.
Yeah, and it's a big show, and it's not only a big show, but it is scaling. Like, not all the venues are the same size.
It was funny. Yeah, that's actually a really funny story. We ended up doing production rehearsals at Bandit, which was a smaller room than we needed. We did a week there, and then we did a week in Nashville Auditorium. No, the arena that's in Nashville.
Sure.
That we did the show at. The second show was there, but the first show was in Raleigh. So we did Raleigh, and then we did Charlotte, and Raleigh was like a 1,000 cap, 1,500 cap little room, tiny show. and
you've got a semi truck worth of video walls.
We had 9 trucks on that tour.
Yeah, you had like
we left 5 of them in Nashville.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, we took like 2 trucks to Raleigh, and we put 10% of the gig in there.
Wow.
And then we went back to Nashville for the third gig, actually. That was the third one. Went back to Nashville and pulled off an arena show, and we ended up having who sings Tequila? Dan and Shay.
Oh yeah,
Dan and Shay came out and did a special guest, and they played Tequila. And I found out about that on the day. Yeah, that was fun, and we hadn't planned on having guests on that.
Yeah,
so we had to bring up a bunch of extra follow spot control from the shop in Nashville.
Yep,
and we just programmed it on the day and freeballed it. It was great. It was good fun.
I mean, they say like you were kind of like you said before, like the show must go on. That's real. Like this is so like this business is not. I think sometimes people they go see a show and everything is so perfect. It is far from perfect, but the audience's experience is seamless, right?
But you got to remember, it's the first time that most of these people are ever seeing this show.
Correct.
You know, you've got the super fans that will go to every gig.
Yep.
But for the most part, people only see that show once.
Yeah.
They might see it on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, but you never get the full picture there. You'll never see the imperfect mistakes unless your artist does something silly.
Yeah.
Which everyone will see, and it will go viral, and then
of course all
of a sudden it's a thing.
Yes.
But from a production point of view, you never really see stuff when the little things go wrong.
Yeah.
There's obviously things like if a lift doesn't move, or if a screen doesn't move for whatever reason, or all the lights go out all of a sudden.
Or you lose power.
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times.
The funny thing is, so we filmed yesterday with Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath, and he was talking about his time in Paramore. At Reading Festival, 90,000 people, the PA shut off.
Well, they lose the generators,
The PA shut off, and it was like, he said it was his favorite moment of his time in Paramore when they went to the front of the stage and they performed acoustic, the only exception.
No one can hear it.
Yeah, with they used the emergency alert PA Because apparently they have like a secondary emergency alert.
Yeah.
And they just did like an acoustic thing. And it was just this beautiful moment. And I think sometimes, I mean, maybe as like tech people, we have to be so flexible that sometimes a moment will present itself and you have to lean into it rather than be afraid of the unknown.
Yeah. And I think that kind of separates out those A-list like techs and people from the others, because you have to hard pivot.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is like, I find, and I found especially in later in my career, if you make a mistake, commit
to it.
Unless it's a horrible one, if you're like, I don't know, for instance, punting lights, and like you press a button on a beat and you don't mean to, it's like, just keep hitting it.
Yeah.
Like hit it on the beat that you just hit.
Don't go back.
And no one will ever know.
Yes.
It's just like making those hard pivots and then just, sticking with it. No one ever knows the difference.
Yeah.
As long as it's, not a catastrophe.
Totally.
That stuff does happen all the time.
This podcast was created by the Quigley Dream Company. At the Quigley Dream Company, we specialize in bringing your vision to life through powerful storytelling and stunning video production. We're your one-stop shop to market your business. Whether you're looking to tell your brand story, capture unforgettable moments, or enhance your digital presence, we're here to help make that happen. So if you've got a dream, visit thequigley.com to get started today.
Let's circle back to the LANY show, just because that's the show that you were heavily involved in that I saw from top to bottom in person.
Yeah.
What was that process like with Paul? Obviously it was expedited. So like when it comes to like LANY specifically, who's driving the bus? How does that interaction go?
So the thing about Paul Klein is he's very particular. We've had creative directors in the past, and like content people that have just made stuff, and then he always goes back and reviews it, and he's like, "No, I don't like it. Do this." Yeah, and it's like I've been working with him now for I don't know 5-6 years. Yeah, it's been a while, and I know that he is very particular in that way. So when we're going through that process, it's a case of there's a lot of back and forth, especially in the beginning, like creating mood boards, coming up with ideas of stuff. Most of the stuff he already has. He makes a Pinterest board for a lot of stuff. And then we kind of look at that and then we riff off it and being like taking it and actually turning it into a live production. Yeah. Like he saw this really cool picture of a window, and that was how we ended up with that beautiful orange look with the window frame on it. Wow. That was drawn up by Rachel Ritt, who's his graphic designer. She does all the like draws up all the merch and stuff for him. Yeah. And, but he is very in tune with all of that as well. Yeah. He has input on everything creative that happens with LANY. That is just who he is, and that's what he loves doing. It definitely felt that way. Like it felt like the show was very genuine, like a creative expression. It didn't feel corporate. No, it felt like a very real creative expression. Yeah, he's all about being real, especially with his fans. You'll see that with all the stuff that he does. It's like he puts his heart and soul into that band and absolutely loves it. Like that is his life, and he will be with it until it dies. But he, So he's an incredible creative mind, and it's musically as well as visually, which is really cool to work with. Because the show, I mean, there was plenty of like progression throughout it. Like even like the upstage kabukis that like drop and reveal new set pieces. Like so that was kind of a fun little thing. We in the initial thing, there's a mid-stage drape, which was the kabukis, which is a shark tooth fabric. So it's like kind of see-through gauze. Initially, the idea was to project onto it. Wow! But doing like 150-foot throw in those arenas, and then with the drapes moving around, it just wasn't a feasible idea. Not to mention it was very expensive. Yeah, the projectors have to be very bright. Yeah, we were doing 6 projectors in front of house that were like 50K lasers. And we were even talking about double stacking them at one point, and it was just chaos. Yeah. Thank God we didn't in the end, but there you go. I bet it would have looked amazing. It was cool. Like there's a couple of pictures of it from the initial pre-production process in Nashville, but it didn't give enough of an impact for the cost that it was and the time that it was going to take to do it. But yeah, so that shark tooth fabric, we ended up dropping the middle section and then the out section, which was cool. And there was a lot of debate about when we did it. during the show. Like we kind of we were actually mixing it up, and we had and we were just throwing around ideas during the rehearsal period of when we were going to do that, because it's, you know, you got to think about these things. You know, it kind of it makes an impact, especially to the audience member. It's like chapters. Exactly. It was actually broken up into 3 acts. Was kind of how the show was.
That's how it feels, man.
Initially done, which was kind of cool. And then you got the big bit at the beginning, and then the slower down bit, and then the big up at the end. Yeah. And then finishing off with Double XL, which is currently one of their biggest hits, which is cool.
It's a smash.
Yeah, it's a good track. It was fun doing that one. It's just a big party, really, at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Paul leaves the stage, enters the crowd. The follow spots go nuts.
Oh yeah, he loves that.
And it's your job to follow him around and make sure he has light on him.
That's really funny. Yeah, luckily that's for the most part that's all follow spot.
Yeah.
But the nature of the follow spot is we use robo spots on that, which gives us full control over color, dimmer, and then you just have someone doing position. So someone just follows him around on a camera, which is they have on the screen, and follow the target. It's like a little fun video game.
Right.
But when he leaves the realm of that camera, he's lost. He can't see him anymore. So how do you follow someone when you can't see him? He's like, you see him like over here. He's like trying to look.
Yeah.
Trying to look around the corner and backstage, trying to figure out where he is in real life.
Yeah.
But I developed a knack for it when he was doing it. I was on the pan tilt wheels, like doing this.
I see.
Just following him around the audience, which is always a challenge. But it's good fun. I like that. It's the crowd interaction. It brings me back to when I was watching like the AJR show, where they appear and do like a full song with their instruments in the top bowl of the arena. Yeah. Like that's cool. Like breaking that fourth wall, as it were. Yeah. Like getting in with the audience is always something I love.
Especially when artists really care about their fans. They really care about their fans, and they want it to be I grew up listening to like heavy music. Like like the punk scene and like the metal scene. The audience interaction, like it's a participation event.
Yeah.
It's not a spectacle. People aren't sitting there watching. They're experiencing together, and there's a conversation there.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me on to another one of our projects that we've got going on at the moment, is Dispatch. So I toured with Dispatch in 23. That one was designed by Datum Creative back when I was just an operator. This time it's going out this year, and we've designed it.
Wow.
So it's really cool. It's a really cool organic design. But these guys have been around for 20 odd years. Super hippy dippy guys. It's all like their jam band style vibes. And they do a cool thing where they do like a pop-up at front of house, where I don't know if you've been to Red Rocks in Denver.
I know the venue, but I've personally never been there, which is crazy.
That is crazy. It's a really cool venue with red rocks and everything around that place. But there's a tunnel underneath the stage that goes to front of house.
That's neat.
And they can pop up there. So they did that, and they popped up at front of house.
Wow.
And then they basically play from there for a track.
Wow.
Which is really cool. And that was with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, actually, which was amazing.
Especially in that like amphitheater style. You just put the warm blinders on.
Yeah, everyone can see them.
Yeah.
It's super cool vibes, and love that.
It's like having your favorite artist at a campfire with you.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
That's pretty much the vibe that they go for with that. It's like they go for full acoustic instruments in that moment. And it's just like, a little sing-song with your favorite band, which is amazing for the fans.
I have an interesting question. So we're talking about that first LANY show of that tour, 1,000 cap room.
Yeah.
Then let's fast forward to Philippines.
Yeah, so I didn't do the Asia tour with them this year.
Sure.
I ended up being on some other bits, but they did a what is probably, I think, the biggest indoor stadium in the world. I think it is 50,000 people, which was wild. Like they are huge in Asia, and it's a really, really fun phenomenon, really. The fact that they're doing these huge shows in Southeast Asia is really cool. Yeah, and it's always a vibe. But Asia is a different beast. There's not a lot of people that have done like serious big touring in Asia, just because like a lot of Western artists aren't that big out there. But being with LANY, I was quite fortunate. The first time I went out there was in 2019 when I was their crew chief, because I started in a tech background. I was a light and video crew chief for PRG in the UK for like 5 years before I got into the operating side of it.
I see.
Which is really cool. But yeah, Asia is a thing, man. Like, I just got off the back of doing a month in Asia with DPR, K-pop band based out of Australia and South Korea.
Yeah.
And we were touring 30 people around. I was actually production managing that one.
Yeah.
Had a friend of mine, Nat Turner, was the LD, was covering me for that because I was just doing too much. I was show calling and production managing, and then the thought of doing LD on top of that was just not cool.
Yeah, that was too much.
That, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do that. But we were taking so much stuff around Asia with those guys. And then just trying to deal with the locals.
Yeah.
Like, we've actually got some good friends out there now from the shows that we've done. I'll play.
It's live television, people. There's a plane. Yeah, and
It's loud here, and the birds.
And the birds. That's okay.
What was I saying? So yeah, Asia. Asia's a thing, man. It's
Well, I feel like I messaged you. I saw that you, like, I was in Kuala Lumpur,
yeah.
and then I saw that you were in Kuala Lumpur. What brought you there?
When was that?
I don't know. I swear that you were in Kuala Lumpur.
Was that last year?
I think it was last year. Yeah.
I went out to Asia a couple of times last year.
Yeah.
First time was with Tyler, who sings the Water song.
Yep.
It's a great track.
Yeah.
She's pumping at the moment. She's got some good stuff going on. Yeah, I did a US festival tour with her. We did Lollapalooza, a couple of other things. And then we went out to do Asia. So we did a couple of Asia festivals. Did one in Jakarta, South Korea. I think KL maybe. But if it was at the end of last year, that would have been with DPR. That was the second time I was out there.
Yeah.
And we were doing some pretty big shows out there. It was 5,000 caps for the most part, kind of like small arena stuff.
Yeah.
That was cool. I really love working with DPR, especially DPR Ian, who's the main guy. Very creative guy, does all his own content, creates most of the music, does all of the dancing and stuff, has a great choreographer, a guy named Hugh. But the fact that this guy do all of that stuff is absolutely insane.
Wow.
To me. And then sing on top of that. He's one of the most talented individuals I've ever met.
Right.
And he is super cool.
Yeah.
As well. He's like super cool Australian guy. That was kind of where he was brought up, but has a Korean passport and it's Korean. But yeah, super sick guy. Fucking love him. He's great.
Let's talk about your life because you said you're from the UK.
I am indeed.
So let's talk about that journey of like how you started in the business and then what brought you to the United States.
Yeah, right. I'll give you a real brief history.
Yeah.
Back in the day when I was just a wee lad, I was always like the kid in primary school who wanted to do the tape recorder or the overhead projector.
Right.
Like, that was always my thing. I always wanted to do
kid.
that. Yeah, I was just the AV kid. I was always savvy with like the smart whiteboards and like the computer stuff. And that was just like where I kind of, I guess, started getting the bug.
Yeah.
And then secondary school, we were doing like all of the school assemblies and the bands, and we started to have some semi-real equipment.
Yeah.
And then like my mum, who had a friend at the local like Amdram Society, Amateur Dramatics in the theatre. Small little theatre, it was like 100-seater. But that was kind of where I started to really get the bug. It was like all volunteer based, a lot of retired guys.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate that one of the guys was actually an ex-West End lighting designer. So West End is like Broadway.
Yeah, okay.
For those who are US based.
Sure.
But he was, so he was like super eccentric guy, super cool.
Yeah.
Used to stand on stage while we were doing focuses and quote Shakespeare.
Right. Yeah. I know the type.
But he was super cool. I love him. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but there you go. But yeah, so he kind of like took me under his wing, and I used to like do the lighting programming for him when he was designing and stuff, because like that was kind of where I was at, and I learned a lot of stuff about design from him and all those bits. And then that took me from like 11 to I was there for a long time. But then when I was 16, graduated secondary school, ended up going to the Brit. So the Brit School is some school based in Croydon. You do it during your senior years of high school if you're the same age. And people that have been to the Brit are things like Amy Winehouse, Adele, Ed Sheeran famously didn't go there, and he has a song about it, which is very funny. And then just a bunch of other people. I did a technical theatre arts. Yeah, so I learned to do set design, set construction, costume design, and construction, sound, lighting, all of the bits, and stage management as well, which is really cool. And like that kind of helped me develop those all-rounded skills that are so useful to me now. Having that base understanding of everything is always great. It means that I can help out where required and all those kind of things. And I was there for 2 years, had a fantastic time, probably one of the best times of my life. It was just, again, like you get assigned roles we do like 30 shows a year, and there was 30 of us. So we were rotating constantly throughout, doing music shows, musical theatre, and just general theatre, as well as some like corporate stuff as well for like the broadcast kids. Like
really getting diverse skill sets.
It was hands-on. We were there for, I don't know, you would leave at like 6. It's not like your regular school. You wanted to be there as well. It was like, yes, you get assigned these things, but like a lot of the labor, like all the load-ins and load-outs was all based on volunteers. Like we would just stay and help and just do stuff. And that was how you learned so much so fast. And it was honestly an amazing experience from that point of view. Yeah, which is really cool. And then I ended up going to university to do creative lighting control, which is basically a degree in pressing buttons. I'll be honest,
The right buttons at the right time.
Yeah, man. So that was where I kind of started learning to program. Did a lot of video, learned to do a lot of video stuff there. That was kind of the first time I really got into that. We had some Hippo media servers as well as MA2 stuff. So that was kind of, up until that point, I'd been mostly on AVO and ETC boards, and then moved to MA when I was at university, which is probably the best thing I ever did in my life.
Was that transition? Because that became the standard.
It was hard, but like over in the UK, those were more common, but MA is international. Like that is just the industry standard on the international scale.
For sure.
Which is great. I own one, which has been a massive asset to my life. But so did a degree, I think I got a 2-1 in the end. Wasn't the best at English and writing and all of that sort of stuff, and that is such an important part of, university. Which is just, it was fun. I really enjoyed it. My lecturer was cool. But there was like 15 of us in that class. Unlike a lot of your big universities that are like 100 people, like there was 15 of us. It was so niche. It still is one of the most niche things of that skill set. It was, I don't know. I don't think there's another degree in the world that does the same thing.
At what point did it become like your career? At what point did pushing buttons become your career?
So while I was at university, I did my first ever tour. My first tour was with the Cores. So the Cores are a Irish band that were big in, I think, the 90s, maybe the early 2000s.
Sure.
But we went out and did an arena tour in Europe, and I was there looking after media servers back in the day when Catalyst was a thing.
So for those that don't know, the media servers is like the things that are playing back video on screens.
Yes, but it also does a lot of other stuff. It does like all your camera routing, camera effects, all of that sort of stuff in the live environment. And then you usually have a camera director that switches all the cameras and stuff that gets piped into the media server.
Got it.
That does all your distribution and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, there are a lot of different kinds. These days we're running Pixera, which is kind of the up and coming cool media server, which does a lot of stuff. Anyway, so the Cores, so that was cool. We did did a European tour, and that was probably the first time I ever got really thrown into the fire.
Right.
Like I was probably 20 years old, and we went out to do rehearsals in Hamburg, and the gear was coming out of the UK. So I had a conversation with a designer, a guy called Stephen Douglas, He does Hosier and the Killers these days. That's his gig, which is really cool.
Yeah,
really cool
wow,
guy.
yeah.
And it was under our impression that for some reason he would be switching cameras from the MA, and that was kind of how we set up the system. In hindsight, now knowing what I know now, that was stupid. Like, you wouldn't do that when you're trying to LD a gig at the same time. But I was a kid. I was like I know how this gear works, but actually putting it into practice, I'm like,
right.
Yeah, it's like, how did the professionals do it?
Yeah.
So we ended up getting the Hamburg, and I'm on the phone with. I go and talk to the LD first, Stephen. And I'm like, okay, how do you want to set up all your camera switching from the MA? He's like, what? I'm like, and he's like, oh no, you're doing all of that. And I was like, oh, okay.
He's like, we're not. You are.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So I get on the phone back to the UK, and I'm like, hey, so I'm switching cameras. I need some gear. So they overnight a bunch of stuff from the UK,
Yeah.
just north of London, to Hamburg, and I have to learn how to switch cameras and also run the Catalyst media server. I was like, that
And
was
like now.
frying pan. That was serious.
Yeah.
Out of the fire and into the frying, out of the frying pan.
And
into
this
the
is
fire.
in an arena.
Yeah, this was arenas around Europe. It was a thing, man.
I think there's a certain aptitude from people like yourself
Yeah.
that thrive under pressure. Though.
Oh, absolutely.
The pressure cooker is where you live.
I not always.
Sure.
I'll be honest. No, not always. But I do my best work under pressure. It just
Yeah.
focuses the mind
Right.
in like a crazy way. It might have something to do with the ADD autism that I have.
Right.
That it just like when you have to do something, you just do it, and you do it well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, really.
is.
It's like I'm a massive procrastinator.
Right.
Until I've been like that since I was a child.
Right.
Like, I hate doing things like homework and all of that, and then I just do it, and like it was great. And that was, my teachers hated me for that.
Right.
Like, I never studied, I was never good at it, and then I just go in and end up crushing exams. And there was a famous conversation between my parents and the deputy head at my school was like, I don't know how he does it, but it's really annoying. And my mum just laughed and was like, I don't know either.
I mean, those skills are so valuable in the environment that you find yourself in.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the pressure's always there. It goes up and down.
Yep.
Depending, but it's the pre-production process where that pressure really lands on us.
Yeah.
Like I remember like going back to the DPR thing, I was doing it in collaboration with Julian Rue, who is at Black Lantern Creative. He designed that show, and I was supposed to just be programming it, but he was also working on Remy Wolf at the time. So Remy Wolf was going out, and he had programmed that show, and then it was going into production rehearsals at the same time that we were. And then he walked into production rehearsals there. Remy turned around and was like, I hate all of it.
Wow.
So he just had to reprogram the whole show on site within like 48 hours.
It's just like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the artist is the boss.
Yeah. If she doesn't like it, you got to do something else. It's
Yeah.
like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So I ended up like, I was relaxed. I was like, there's two of us on this, he'll be fine on the DPR thing. And then he was like, I can't. I was like, oh dear.
Yeah.
Was like, I'm also a little bit behind with this, like just because of the nature of the way that camp operates. Is Ian is fantastic, but he's also a bit last minute, and because he is the cog that drives everything.
Right.
Like there's only so much he can do, and if we don't have all the bits, like we don't have the music or we don't have the content, it's hard to do everything else.
Yeah.
So it was like we would have been fine doing it in production rehearsals, like we're quick, but yeah, we ended up needing a little bit more help on that one. But it was chaos. But we produced an amazing show out of that. And the DPR Mexico show, which was 18,000 people in an arena in Mexico that I cannot remember the name of, was amazing. And you'll see on our website the video for that is really, really cool.
Wow. I feel like there's something like I've been a part of projects like that in the past too, where there's like this euphoric thing that happens And then you look back on it and you can sometimes go, I don't think I could recreate that if I tried.
Nope.
Like, it was magic. I don't know how I did that. I just, or how the team did that. We put our heads down. We just did it. And if there wasn't that pressure, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And you think of things under the gun that you may not do just when you just casually thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, I also find that when you're a little bit more under pressure like that, you end up maybe collaborating a little bit more with people, which is cool.
Right.
And then you have ideas flying at you, and then you create a really cool project out of a bunch of different ideas.
Because you're leaning on the people around you, because it's like, I can't physically do all of this. So we need more minds. We need more skilled people. And you start to think, oh, I know this guy, or I know this girl.
Yeah. And that, that happened to me recently the other day. It was Kevin Labatten, who's actually out on Keshi at the moment, who's also does Boy with Uke. Mm-hmm. Like, he just ran out of time to do the Boy with Uke thing, even under he was flying around the world and programming Boy with Uke at the same time, ran out of time, was like, hey, can anyone help me with this? I was like, yeah, I got a second, I can do it. And I programmed a couple of tracks for him from the comfort of my own living room. Yeah. Which is fantastic.
And I mean, that's the culture too. Like, even the community is big, but not that big. It's like pretty small. And I mean, it's funny, like, we were in San Diego yesterday and I'm filming Under Oath. And then I look at front of house and I'm like, that's Ishdeep, a guy from my city, like an LD from my city. Just like, he's lighting the next band. And I'm like, sick. What the heck, dude? Like, what are you doing here? Oh, he was doing lighting for Rise Against. And I go, this would happen. And even
happens all the time.
Yeah. And just like the community is smaller. I saw you posted on Instagram. You were like, I'm programming this with this and this, and I'm learning it for the first time or whatever. Yeah. My first response was, this is my phone number. If you have questions about this thing, call me, because I've done it a million times.
Yeah. And that was the thing, is like, I've got a couple of playwright guys that I do regular touring stuff with, that was like, hey, we got to do this. How do we do this?
Yeah.
So it was like, I've got this piece of knowledge, you have that. Let's put it together and figure out how this actually works.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah, because I don't think you could do the shows at the scope that they're happening.
Nah, man.
Without all these different skill sets coming together.
It's too much to know.
It's like, too much to know.
I consider myself a good jack of all trades, but I'm not an expert in any category except maybe MA programming. Like, that is probably my only thing that I'm good at. But like, I do Notch. I do media server stuff. Notch is a real-time generation for iMag effects. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know, a bunch of other stuff. I know a bit of audio. I know a bit of, like, stage management building. I'm good. I'm a very good crew chief. I was very good at that. I just don't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. But I know a lot of stuff. Yeah. But I wouldn't, like, I always need help, especially when we're doing that top level stuff. Yeah. It's like, and that's why we build that community of people that we can lean on. Yeah. And it's like, who can I call when I'm in a pinch that I don't know about this particular thing or whatever. Yeah. That's why me and Matt get along so well, who is my roommate and longtime touring friend. Is because we both have our own specialties. He's very good at video, right, and I'm more on the lighting side, and we mesh really well on that, and we're calling each other constantly, like, both bouncing ideas off each other, as well as, hey, my mind's blank, how do I fix this problem? Right. Yeah, because you do, like, we're all people at the end of the day. Is like, you can't be perfect all the time. It just doesn't happen. No. So it's like, you will make mistakes, you will go through those moments of, I know how to do this, but I cannot think of it right now. Yeah. And that does happen to people. And it's hard. It's like, it's hard being switched on all the time, especially when you're like in that pre-production environment where you are going for maybe 16 hours a day for a week. You need those people to lean on to, like, come up with new creative ideas, because being creative for a week is hard. It is. Especially when you're trying to pull a really cool show off. It's very difficult.
Because every artist wants something that no one's ever seen before.
Yes.
Right?
That.
And that pressure falls on the techs.
Yeah, being unique is hard, especially today. But the people seem to do it all the time. Yeah. And I like to think that we've created some unique stuff. It's just thinking of new ways to use the technology that exists, right? Yeah. As well as, like, because really, in the entertainment industry, in lighting, there hasn't been anything really new in a long time. Like, the biggest revelation was like a moving bar fixture where you can create a curtain of light.
Right.
That was one of the biggest innovations of the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
But after the moving light, they've just made the moving light a lot better.
Or like LEDs, you know? Yeah.
There've been, and then the introduction of LED, which is just making the same lights better.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're just making things bigger, brighter, and cooler. Like,
right.
But there hasn't really been any serious innovation. There's been a lot of innovation in video world.
Yeah, huge.
Like with all the LED walls, and then we're talking about the holograms and the holographic stuff.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen? I'd have to remember the name of the artist, but there's a couple of things coming out of Japan, especially where they have hologram artists.
Yes.
Have you seen that stuff?
Yeah. So it's like the Pepper's Ghost.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different ways of doing it.
Where the artist is like an anime character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that person is making some serious money sitting at home on their
yeah,
watching TV while the anime character is out there actually doing the real performing.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me, I'll be honest.
It is wild.
But it's a thing and people love it. And
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to recreate the real thing, but people live in that digital world these days. When you I remember that so my university thesis was on augmented reality in the live event space.
Wow.
I was looking at things like The Lion King when they did the 360 angle cameras around stage, and you could be immersed in it.
Wow.
Like, you could stand on stage and it would happen around you. And what they'd actually done is just put one of those 360 tripods on stage and just filmed it from a couple of different angles, which is really cool. But then you look at that, it started to happen during COVID, where people would wear glasses and watch a show that had happened or was happening live, but it could have been pre-recorded.
Yep.
And all that sort of stuff. And it's like the world of augmented and virtual reality inside of the live event environment is always a thing. Like, BTS do it really well, where they have like butterflies flying over their cameras and all of that sort of stuff. That's not happening in the real world. And they're interacting with these butterflies that are flying around them.
Wow.
Which is just all part of like the Unreal Engine stuff. And but that's crazy. Like, that is really cool, but it's still within the live space, which is even crazier to try and do that stuff.
Yeah. Like, I see, like, Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
Like, they're starting to do pretty cool things where every day, like, the effects in the image magnification and stuff, some of the augmented reality stuff is different every day based on AI, based on prediction models and things like that.
It's a thing where that's becoming more and more of a thing, and it exists. Like, you look at, have you seen any of the BTS stuff from The Mandalorian?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the volume, Unreal Engine being like,
yep.
I'm not explaining this stuff to you, I'm explaining this to the audience. Where it's like using like the video game engine to drive visuals in real life with motion tracked cameras.
Yeah.
Watch the Mandalorian thing, then you'll get it. Yeah,
it's cool. But then we also have a thing in our world called the XR stage.
Yeah.
Which is the similar thing, but for broadcast.
Yeah.
But like, that is becoming more of a thing in the live event space as well. And it merges, like, Disguise and Unreal are now kind of becoming a system that works together to create really, really cool things, like all of this stuff. Like, all of that was done with Disguise and Unreal. And I don't know, it's just changing the game at the moment. But, this is all happening at the top level. You know, it's what we're trying to figure out is how we do that on a smaller scale.
How does that trickle down to something attainable for the larger group of artists? Yeah,
the growing, the either growing or the people that are kind of sitting at that 5,000 cap range, which is kind of like how we do the sheds and the small arenas and the big clubs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we create a unique show with all these cool toys for these guys and keep the price down? Because at the end of the day, it's their livelihood. They want to make money. Touring is how a lot of big artists these days just make their cash.
Yep.
Because they're not doing it on streams.
Yep, that's right.
They're not doing it with record sales, because that doesn't really exist anymore. So it's like, how are these people making their livelihood? It's with social media, and it's with live concerts, and like merch sales.
Which brings me back to something you said before we started recording, was the combination of like the live show and the social media is you're very conscious of like not only the audience experience, obviously that is like the king, is like the audience experience, but you said something like, 10,000 people in the room, but 2 million people watching the iPhone video.
Yeah, so it's becoming a thing, especially within the last 10 years, where social media is so important to artists.
Yeah.
It's like how they look on social media is sometimes more important to how they look in real life.
Wow.
Because you are hitting a much wider audience. People are going to see it. They're going to share it. They're going to, that is how artists are growing these days. It's not with you looking at the new release radar on Spotify or things like that. People, listen to the same music, but they spend a lot of time on their phone scrolling through Instagrams, and people where they see things like cool reels of artists or people will share stuff. That is how artists are growing these days. And it's an unfortunate factor of this industry is like how important social media is to these people. And it's something that we have to really consider and think about is those first 10 meters of the barricade, people off the barricade are the ones that are going to have their phones out the whole time.
Yep.
How do they look from down there? It doesn't really matter how they look on the iMags anymore because that's not in the shot. It's about those people with the phone cameras who are zoomed in, maybe even the guys at the back of the bowl. It's like they're not taking the wide shots, really. They're trying to zoom in and see their artist. And how do they look?
And you're thinking about that when you're programming, when you're designing.
It's so important, which is why production rehearsals is so important, and trying to get the artist to act and behave how they would in a real show is what you want, but it's not always attainable. But there's a lot of cool toys these days. There's a lot of cool tracking. There's you can track with footlights now. Like all of the RoboSpot stuff allows you to control how they look from any particular angle, which is why going back to that LANY tour, when he was out on that A thrust, when we had the big A thrust, there was 4 lights hitting him from 4 corners of that stage at all times. Just so that you could so that he would look good from any angle, depending on whatever way he was facing. Like we've only got long throw cameras from 3 different spots. We had a high side, front of house, and then we had a pit cam, and that was all we were shooting him with. So it was more important about how that phone camera looked, because that was what everyone was looking at.
And every audience member, even if there's 10,000 people in the room, each person could be 2,000, 5,000, 50,000 viewers.
And you never know, especially with social media influencers going to these things, and they have however many followers that they have, and they're posting videos of it. And then maybe they get a shot of the support, and then all of a sudden maybe this artist is blowing up. So it's I feel like that's a lot more important, but it's also hurting artists' touring growth as well. If people can see it online, why bother going to a gig?
Right.
So it's like, I completely disagree with that statement, of course.
Of course you do.
But a lot of the general public might think that because they can watch a concert from their phone sitting on a sofa. It's like, why go? But then you go and then you realize why.
You realize why. Because it's this mind-blowing, visceral experience that you can't replicate anywhere else.
And it's so important. I actually saw an Instagram reel the other day. It was like, the small artists, when you're putting on a small show, you want to seem like you could easily recreate that on a bigger stage. That's what the audience want to see. That's what agents want to see. All of that sort of stuff. And we're trying to help develop those small artists to do, to look big. And if you look big, you look like you have the good stage presence, a good production behind you. You can then turn that into a much bigger show with a bigger audience. And it looks really cool.
Because you need... if I'm understanding what you're saying too, is you need vision. The vision can be scaled. But you just need that vision. Okay, so this show has 12 lights up on that truss. Okay, well, let's make that 100. And it's just the same thing, but bigger.
Yeah. Trying to come up with a creative idea. It's an annoying part of the process.
Totally.
Is thinking of something that's scalable.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. And we kind of, when you're trying to do something unique that fits in a certain room, trying to scale that up or down can be a problem, especially with like festivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Trying to roll into a festival with a certain design is difficult.
Because that LANY run that I saw was it was that, right? It was like
up, down, all over the place.
I think the show I saw, the video wall hanging overhead wasn't even the full circle. It was like a D and then a little semicircle inside of it.
It was like an eye, is what we called it.
Right.
So it was.
Oh yeah, it was totally an eye.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, we called it the eye. It was the chandelier or the eye.
Yeah.
So the chandelier was the full circle with the 2/3 inside.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all the way around on the inside because you don't need it to be. It was just 2/3, and then it was the full circle.
Yeah.
On the outside. So, yeah, but we had to come up with I had to come up with a thing that Paul was happy with, that we could scale and squish this thing down somehow.
Yeah.
It was like, bro, we have to.
Yeah.
I know you love the circle, but we have to squash it because it's not going to fit.
Possible.
Yeah, it's not going to fit. So
and the tiles can only curve so much, so the circle can only
before
be...
it looks bad. Yeah. So like there are curvable products now. Like but it's very expensive to.
Yeah.
So which is a thing, but yeah, scalability is a hard one, especially.
Who came up with the idea of the video wall on the inside of it as well? Because that was very cool.
So originally, the design that came from the TV guy was a flat disc. It's a flat circle, which with the technology, unless you build a custom LED wall, is not possible. Right. So it was kind of my idea to flip it and turn it into a chandelier circle. Yeah. As opposed to a flat disc, because it just wasn't going to be possible. Mm-hmm. And then we were kind of just toying with the idea of we were going to put lights inside of it to try to create a cool beamy look out of the middle of the circle. It was like, where's that coming from? Yeah. It's crazy. But the whole thing with LANY is simple and effective. So like you'll see with a lot of their shows over the years, it's been just a simple, striking look. So it was just like we were just spitballing ideas between me, Alex, and Paul, because Alex was the co-designer on that with me. Yeah. Also the production manager. And we just came up with the idea of what if we just put another LED wall on the inside that kind of is different. So it pushes a different color out or does something else, or it has we ended up putting, I think, words on the inside of it at one point, which is really cool. So cool. Like, it's just a different canvas, a different space, a different plane to just play with, really. And a light source too. Like, I find it fascinating that a video screen, I mean, when it's LED, it's pumping out so much brightness that even one color on the outside and a color on the inside, a two-toned look, you're right, is like, I think you said simple and striking. Yeah, and that's always what we go for with that show. Yeah. It's always been the case. But yeah, so the inside of that circle was a really, really cool idea that ended up turning into what it did. And do I remember like a disco ball gag too? Yeah, so we actually hid that on the inside of the circle. So it was on a motor, and we hid it on the inside of the disco ball, so you had no idea it was there. Yeah. Sorry, the inside of the circle. Yeah. So you had no idea it was there, and then we timed it out. It was like 26 seconds to get to optimum point. That should have been done on Kinesis, really, but we were on a budget. So ended up being that the head rigger had a timer on his phone. So it was on an actual like quarter-ton chain motor. Yep, it was on a quarter-ton chain. So he had it on a button. It was the only thing on that controller, so he couldn't fuck it up. With a pickle. Yeah, basically, yeah. So it was, and he timed it out, and I would say stop, and he would have stop as well, because I also had a timer, so there's a bit of redundancy there. Yes. And then it hit that point bang on, because I had it timed out in the code that because your lights would snap to it, and if they missed it, it'd be off. Oh, it'd be crazy. Yeah, it would look terrible. Wow. So yeah, we timed it out during production rehearsals and figured out the full timing of when it would have to start, and then sometimes we would have to change the time as well. So we figured, like, if the trim was different, or for whatever reason, like when we changed it to the eye shape, we had to the timing was different, and depending on the trim and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, we had to figure that out. And then on that same truss was a light for Jake, the drummer.
Yep.
So there was a beautiful like top light was right over his head.
Yep.
That we were using for like transitions and stuff and drum solos, and that was a really cool look.
I wanted to ask you about that specifically, actually, because that light was almost never off.
The one under his riser was never off.
So tell me about that and why you did that.
So that was I kind of said to Paul was like, hey, like during these transitions, it would be really cool just to have something. Like we were trying to make it flow the whole show, and like we should do something during the transitions. I was like, just lighting up the underneath of that drum riser there was like 4 strobes and some Gaussian spandex material, which was really which ended up looking crazily good. It was kind of wild, actually. We never thought it would actually look that good, but trying to keep something on during the transitions kind of just makes it flow a bit better rather than going like full blackout. It was just like something to kind of pull focus.
Yeah.
Because when you go through a blackout, it's like, what do I do? Where do I look? It's like, yeah, I'm cheering, and then everything just slows down. It's like, that's when people might lose focus.
Right.
Because when you're talking about the general public these days, attention focus isn't always the first thing that comes to mind.
Like, you don't want them to think, where do I look? You want them to think, I should look there. You're achieving something, even if it's...
Yeah, we're trying to pull focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes we use the cylinder for that as well.
Yeah.
So we were using the inside screen to kind of push that color out during certain transitions.
Yeah.
And then one of the big transitions was them moving out to the B stage, which you probably wouldn't have seen.
No, they didn't do the B stage in Vancouver.
Yeah, but so for the big A-Rig shows, as we called them, we would do a transition that moved them out to the B stage, where they would both walk down either sides of the catwalk.
Yeah. And
the lights would follow them.
Wow.
I had it on a fader, temp fader, we call it, we basically push up as they walk, and the lights would just move at the speed that they were walking at.
Awesome.
Which is it looked really cool.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite moments of that show for sure. Yeah. And then at the end of that, when they went back, there was a cool transition where Paul was on the piano, and it was just, the piano was just lit by one spot, which started out the song that would end up pushing him back to the main stage.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's just like transitions are sometimes overlooked, I think.
Yeah.
But they make a show.
Yeah.
Like if you got music going as well as some kind of like visual element for the transitions, it just pulls it all together.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. But it's a big part of the MD's job to kind of make that happen.
Yeah.
And we just light it or whatever.
This podcast was created by the Quigley Dream Company. At the Quigley Dream Company, we specialize in bringing your vision to life through powerful storytelling and stunning video production. We're your one-stop shop to market your business. Whether you're looking to tell your brand story, capture unforgettable moments, or enhance your digital presence, we're here to help make that happen. So if you've got a dream, visit thequigley.com to get started today.
So obviously there's collaboration there, but like that's the conversation that's happening, is saying, hey, during this moment, we're not going to go full blackout. We are going to pull focus here, but what does it sound like? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
And then there's the musical director who's saying, okay, we're going to make an ambient moment here. We're going to change keys this way, because it musically has to make sense as well. The set list musically has to make sense.
It might be a tempo ramp or key change or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you listen to that show from top to bottom, it is a seamless show. Yeah. Which is really cool. And we worked very hard on that in the very short space of time that we had.
Yeah. Which is one of those moments where like, it's like this, it's euphoria. You're just going. You don't have time. I think sometimes like the curse of creative people is looking back. Like looking backwards instead of just constantly having forward motion.
Yeah, it's like you can't what if it.
No, there's no what if. It's just like, well, we're moving forward. We don't have time to think, well, what if it was this? What if it was that? No, it's this, and we're moving forward.
Yeah. And unless you have to make a hard pivot, be like, okay, we don't like this.
Yep.
Let's try something else. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
But yeah, But there's always time for changes. It's like once the show's on the road, that's not always a finished product. In fact, it rarely is.
Yeah.
Like people make so many changes, whether that's adding new songs or moving the set list around or just updating the programming or whatever. Yeah. It's like you'll find that a lot of shows, if you look at watch the first show and then you watch the last show, it's usually a little different.
Totally. And it's based on a million different factors. Like, I mean, the artist might just go, I thought this moment would feel this way, and it doesn't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's like, okay, sometimes the artist will be like, okay, we're going to do this. Sometimes they're like, figure it out. And we're
totally.
Like, okay.
Right, it's not really like, obviously you were saying with Paul, he's very
he would
hands-on and like particular, but like a visionary. Yeah. It's like, I think sometimes it could be frustrating working with an artist who's like particular but doesn't have a vision.
Yeah.
I love working for people that know what they want.
Oh yeah, me too. It's the best kind of working relationship.
Like when someone has a vision, you can rally behind it.
Yeah.
And like I can help you win. Like you know the direction.
Yeah.
I'll pour gas on that fire.
It definitely helps. Yeah. Working with someone that is particular and has no vision is a nightmare.
It's troubling.
You just throwing paint at the wall, just trying to figure out what they like.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's definitely the worst. And then I guess next to that, you have people that have got no idea. Mm-hmm. But when they're less fussy, it's like, okay, let's throw some paint at the wall. It's like, okay, I kind of don't like this. Can we try something else? It's like, all right. And then we'll come back with a couple of other ideas.
Yeah.
But usually when we pitch stuff, if people have got an idea, it'll be one design. If people have got no idea, it'll be 3 or 4 completely different things. It's like, okay, which one of these are you vibing with? And we can then start to edit that to be more specific.
Because you can't put in too much effort. You don't want to go too far down the road and then have it shut down.
No, exactly. But, when we do that, you then have that in your back pocket. Okay, cool. We have, we present 4 ideas. They don't like any of them. It's like, that's a bummer. But we got 4 cool designs that we just put in the back pocket.
Yeah.
And we'll bring those out for a rainy day.
Totally.
So it's like being creative like that isn't always a bad thing. Just because it's always like getting the juices flowing, thinking of new cool ideas.
Yeah.
It's, there's not really a bad scenario in that case.
No. And I think that's such a good perspective to have too, because you have to be flexible.
You have to be, man. You
have to be flexible and you have to be, flexible.
This industry is too depressing if you take everything on the chin.
Totally.
It's working with creatives all the time. You're gonna see the worst in people. You're gonna be beaten up and shut down and feel like poop.
Right.
It's like it happens, but if you have to just stay positive and rally around that community. And it's like if you do that, I feel like this industry is amazing.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
And I said when I was doing we're doing a MGK install in Cleveland. We're doing a nightclub design for him or a restaurant design. I don't even know what it is anymore. It's just a space. We're designing a space for him.
Whatever it is, it'll be brilliant.
Yeah, it'll be really cool. And I've been doing all the CAD, the drawing. So we take the idea and the building, we put it into computer-aided design software, and then we turn it into a real-life thing, which I did a render for. I've been smashing it out the last couple of weeks. But I did a video and I put it to a timed track, and I put in a firework hit. I was like, yeah, I love my job. This is cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's sick. And I love that.
And this is the moment where it goes.
Yeah, man. Well, it was just, it didn't even need to be in there. It's not going to happen in real life. It was just a fly through to show them the space.
Yeah.
I was like, just for me, I put in a firework hit on the drop. I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Because why not?
Because why not? No, it was fun.
Yeah. It's like just so excessive.
Yeah. That's like...
A lot of what we do is excessive, though.
Yes. To a certain extent, I think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's necessary.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to Alex the other day. It was like euphoric moments that I've had in my life recently. There were a couple last year. One of them was that Nashville show, the LANY show in Nashville. That was after all of the effort that we put in. We were ready to break down, and then that was like, that lifted us back up again, and it felt amazing.
When it all came together, the payoff.
Yeah, the payoff for that week of no sleep. And we really did not sleep on that Friday night. Going into the last day of production rehearsals, we were up all night. We did a run through, and then they did the loadout, and we were like, "Nah, see you later." So we left.
Yeah,
but we were. That was a long week. And then the other one was Tyler in South Korea, where I was calling pyro, video, and lighting.
Yeah,
and that went off with pretty much no hitch, and that was I was so ecstatic after that show. It was amazing.
Yeah,
but apart from that, I think I'm getting to that point in my career where I'm just kind of going through the motions, doing the bits, like enjoying it, but not like that giddy feeling that you have when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't know. That Mexico show with DPR was also pretty fucking cool.
I think it comes in waves, man. At least for myself personally, like there's moments of like, yeah, right now I'm just putting my head down and I'm working, or it's like, okay, I'm doing this similar thing for a while. But then that moment happens, and you sometimes you can't predict what it is.
No, yeah.
But there'll be that moment where you're like, I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life.
Yeah, man. I've had a couple of those moments. One of them, notably, actually, was when I was young. I was working for PRG in the UK, and we went out to do a Russian wedding party in Prague. So in the middle of Prague, there is a island in the middle of the river where there is a gold palace. Yeah, it's a thing. The Zofin Palace, if you want to Google it. And this Russian oligarch was throwing a party for his daughter's wedding. It wasn't even the wedding. It was the party the weekend after. Made the Daily Mail. And it featured a burlesque group from Paris, German entertainment. I think they were walking around in like BDSM gear.
Wow.
There was a firework display over the center of Prague. There was a house band. The house band was from Russia. And then Robbie Williams headlined, which was hilarious. We basically built this end-on stage in this ballroom, covered these 3 giant chandeliers in like black material, and they built a theater in this ballroom.
Wow.
Which was, I don't even want to know what this thing costs, but it was insane. We projection mapped the whole room, and they flew a dragon around it while it was snowing to open the show. It was, it was probably one of the most insane things I've ever seen. And it was
like, you almost don't even believe that happened.
Yeah, man. I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it with my own 2 eyes. I swear.
Yeah. Like, I was there.
Nah, man, it happened.
This happened.
Yeah, it was a thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then the creatives came out of Russia as well, and I was just there as a systems guy.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was wild. It was fun. The funniest part of that was Robbie Williams did his set. The house band went back on for an hour. We closed these curtains that we'd put in. We started to load out. And we get a call over the radio being like, hey guys, you might want to stop. We're like, okay, why? Like, stand by. So we're like, all right.
Yeah.
So in what we found out afterwards is that someone had gone into the band's dressing room with a briefcase full of cash, been like, going back on stage. Well, they were like, okay. So we put the lights back in quickly. We hadn't got very far, but we put what we'd had taken out back in, opened the curtains up, and the house band went back on. And we were delayed in our loadout for another couple of hours.
Because someone just walked in with a briefcase of cash.
Yep.
And was like, this party is not over.
Nope.
We're going to keep going.
Yep, pretty much what happened, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a crazy story. Yeah, it's fun.
This was all in the Gold Palace.
Yep, all in this Zofin Palace, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy story. I've got a couple of those. I've got a few stories like that, but I can, unless my memory gets jogged, I don't really remember them.
Yeah.
It's just like, we had a crazy time back in Jakarta. I've had some of the scariest shows of my life have happened in Jakarta. I do not like doing shows there. The gear is just ropey and like, yeah, terrifying stuff. Homemade truss.
Yeah.
No grounding.
You're just like, one.
Yeah, terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone might die here. Kind of theories.
Yeah.
Which
a buddy of mine, I won't name him or the show or the country, but he was in that region, and there was homemade truss, and someone was like welding, and it arced weird and almost went through a person. Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that.
It didn't go through a person, but it was like, I think we're done here.
Yeah, let's leave. Yeah. No, Southeast Asia is a thing, man. I swear, it's its own beast.
Yeah.
There's no touring like it.
Yeah.
Just fly tours around Asia.
It's the experience of a lifetime.
It's an experience. Yeah. I mean, like, my favorite place in the world is probably Japan. Like Tokyo, Osaka, just amazing places. Really cool people. Food is obviously amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cool vibe. It's like, I like it there.
And some of the best stuff comes out of Japan, like, just period. Like, some of the best stuff.
Yeah, for sure. From technology all the way to, like, culture.
Yeah.
Like, all the art that comes out of there is really cool as well.
Absolutely. What does the future look like for SketchLab?
Man, I don't know. We're just kind of going through the motions at the moment. Like, we got to think about trying to find some more work and stuff like that. So it's like we're figuring out how to do that is a thing. I feel like a lot of it is just kind of reaching out to artists and be like, hey, here's our show reel. We do cool things. Would you like us to do some cool things for you? Yeah. It's like, that is kind of how you do it. Yep. But we've got the projects that we're doing at the moment are keeping us busy. Yeah. So but then at some point, we're going to stop doing those projects and we're going to be like, oh, what do we do with ourselves? Yeah. So it's like trying to find more work at the moment while also being flat out busy is quite difficult. Yeah. So we're trying to figure that out. But yeah, man, we're just doing some cool stuff. It's like, we're obviously got a couple of designs that are about to come out with stuff. Dispatch being one of them, and some other bits and pieces. But we're kind of doing a bit more production management, kind of tour directing stuff, tech stuff. Like Matt is actually out on the road with Parcels at the moment in South America.
Oh man, that is such a good band.
Yeah,
Parcels, man.
Yeah, it's cool. They got some cool music, and but they're very jam bandy as well.
It's like there's a thing in my home city in Winnipeg in Canada, just called Jazz Fest.
Oh yeah,
and it's that whole genre where it's just like an audience. The audience is coming. They don't care who it is. They're just gonna vibe. Yeah, yeah. Parcels is that band, except everyone knows who they are.
Yeah, yeah. So they're doing they're doing all the South American festivals right now. They're going to do Coachella, and then. Yeah, they're going out on a headline tour that we're kind of involved with. We got some gear out on it at the moment, so we're doing those. But
amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what's next. I'll be honest.
It feels like such a cool thing. I mean, even when I rolled up here today, even the fact that we're set up in your garage with all of these Pelicans. I mean, I'm looking at some of the names. It's like playback laptops. We got some LANY gear over here. Yeah, grandson.
Yeah, I mean, the DPR stuff, that's all happening at the moment. They're doing Head in the Clouds in June, so they'll be doing a big festival here. I don't know, man. I'd have to look at the calendar. There's a lot going on. Yeah. We're doing LaRue. Alex is doing LaRue shows down the road right now. Yeah. She's doing a bunch of underplays in LA. Jesse's, he's on the East Coast at the moment doing something, figuring out some corporate stuff.
And you all live here?
Yeah, Jesse's down the road, but me, Matt, and Alex all live here, yeah, which is kind of cool. Alex lives above us, actually.
It just feels like...
it's a vibe, man.
It's a vibe.
I honestly love it.
This house is a vibe. I came here and I'm just like... Y'all are just all posted up in here, making shows around the world.
The space is great. We love the space. Pool doesn't hurt. But we were in some smaller spots up in northern LA, Burbank and Los Feliz. And we just needed the space. Yeah. Coming down here, being close to Jesse as well helps because he's got a family down here. It's like, it's cool. It's a great conducive space to being creative. Yeah. Which is kind of what we're doing. And like, we've been working on projects together for a long time and always doing it over Zoom. And it's like, that's a pain in the ass. Like, why don't we just all come together and be in the same place. It's like,
Wow.
makes sense.
It's like this is like the creative hub, and then one at a time or all together, you blast out, and like
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people experience the stuff that you're making right here.
Yeah. It's kind of a crazy way of thinking about it, but yeah,
It's
I guess it's
insane
true.
to think about. You know, the decisions made in this garage or in the room over there are going to be deployed in front of
Yeah.
huge audiences all over the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
It's so sick, though.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
I
We
love it. Dude, thank you for doing this. Like, thanks for taking the time.
Oh, that's good.
I think a lot of people are going to be fascinated by the fact that this exists.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bit of a wild backstory. I mean,
Yeah.
I came over to the States in 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I've been nearly here 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's cool.
So we're going.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's happening.
it's amazing. I'm excited to see what the next little bit looks like for you guys. And
Yeah, me too, honestly.
yeah.
I want to see these shows in real life. We can see them on drawings, but that's
Yeah.
not the same thing as seeing them in real life.
Dude, I think that's a perfect segue. Can we go look at some designs?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Quigley Dreamcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and found it as inspiring and insightful as I did. If you loved this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps us reach more dreamers like you. And if something in today's episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with a friend or on your social media platform. Finally, if you're out there chasing your dreams, remember, it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Keep going, stay inspired, and we will see you next time on the Quigley Dreamcast.